Have you ever stared at a celebrity and thought, what on earth happened to them? The truth is, some black stars have transformed so drastically over the years that they're almost unrecognizable. One once iconic figure, once the very image of strength and charisma, now looks like a fragile shadow of their former self, with hollow eyes and sunken cheeks. Another, once celebrated for her radiant brown skin, left fans speechless when she resurfaced with a complexion paler than most white celebrities. And believe it or not, that's only scratching the surface. There are 23 more shocking transformations that will leave you absolutely stunned. So what really happened? If you're ready for the truth, don't blink. This video is about to reveal it all. Let's dive into their unbelievable stories right now. Lil' Kim. Lil' Kim, the queen of hip-hop. A woman whose transformation tells a haunting story of pain tangled with fame. In the 90s, she wasn't just another rapper. She was the fierce, fearless face of hip-hop. With raw confidence and unapologetic rebellion, she shattered barriers, shook the industry with her chart-topping hits, and redefined what it meant to be a female MC. But behind the flashing lights and dazzling red carpets, a storm raged that no spotlight could ever hide. In the late 90s, while her music dominated clubs and airwaves, Lil' Kim was quietly enduring a nightmare. Jealousy turned violent when her then-boyfriend unleashed brutal attacks, breaking her nose, tearing her skin, knocking out her teeth. Her face bore scars, but the deepest wounds were invisible. Just as she began to rebuild her life, tragedy struck again. A devastating car accident left her with more physical damage, pushing her into surgeries she never asked for but desperately needed. What began as a single reconstructive procedure soon spiraled into something darker. Surgery meant to heal instead opened a door she couldn't close. Haunted by the loss of her former beauty and the trauma carved into her past, Lil' Kim turned to cosmetic surgery as a way to reclaim control. But each operation only pulled her further away from the woman she once was. By the 2010s, her transformation had become undeniable. The vibrant, magnetic rapper fans once knew now appeared with porcelain skin, plump lips, and a frozen expression that critics cruelly called a shadow of herself. To the world, it looked like vanity. But beneath the scrutiny was something deeper, a story of survival, of pain disguised as perfection, of a woman searching for healing in all the wrong places. By the 2020s, Lil' Kim stood as a living symbol of the dark side of cosmetic surgery addiction. Old photos resurfaced, quietly reminding the world of her natural beauty, the fierce gaze, the radiant smile, the power that once defined her. A reminder of the woman she had been, before tragedy, trauma, and an endless cycle of transformation took her somewhere she never meant to go. Toni Braxton. Toni Braxton, the queen of R&B, the voice that once defined elegance and soul, faced a transformation few could imagine. Known for her timeless ballads and magnetic stage presence, she seemed untouchable, a vision of grace and power. But in 2008, her world was shaken. A devastating diagnosis of systemic lupus erythematosus, a ruthless autoimmune disease, struck without mercy. It began with a terrifying collapse mid-performance, a moment that left fans stunned. Soon after, her body betrayed her. The illness drained her energy, hollowed her spirit, and reshaped her very appearance. She shed weight rapidly, her face grew gaunt, her jawline sharpened, and her once soft beauty gave way to a harsher, unfamiliar reflection. Yet Toni Braxton is not just a survivor, she's a fighter. In 2010, she returned to the spotlight, no longer the flawless diva the world remembered, but a woman bearing the visible scars of battle. Her eyes carried fatigue, but behind them burned a fierce determination to reclaim her health, her artistry, and her confidence. Slowly, courageously, she embraced a path of renewal. Subtle cosmetic procedures, nose lifts, facelifts, fillers, were not vanity, but acts of restoration. Steps toward rebuilding not just her appearance, but her identity. By 2015, Toni re-emerged transformed. Her skin smoother, her lips fuller, her features refined. Fans were left speechless. Some barely recognized her, while others marveled at a woman who looked even more flawless than before, yet different, almost distant. And so the question lingered, was this still the Toni Braxton the world had adored, or a new woman forged in pain and survival? Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between, a legend reshaped, but never broken. Jada Pinkett Smith. Jada Pinkett Smith's journey is more than a story about beauty. It's a story about power, loss, and rebirth. Once admired for her radiant glow and the kind of flowing hair that seemed like a crown of confidence, she was the very picture of feminine grace. But in 2018, everything changed. Alopecia, a condition that spares no one, stripped away the hair she had cherished for so long. At first, it came in quiet betrayals, clumps falling to the floor, bald patches growing larger with every passing day. No clever styling, no quick fix could hide the truth. And with each strand lost, the weight of silence grew heavier. Then came 2021. In a move that stunned the world, Jada didn't hide anymore. She shaved her head. Gone was the silky mane that once defined traditional beauty. In its place stood something fiercer, something untouchable, a woman in complete control of her own story. With her scalp bare, she redefined not just beauty, but strength and womanhood itself. What some saw as a loss, Jada transformed into a triumph. She became a symbol of resilience, authenticity, and unapologetic self-acceptance. Those who once admired her looks now admired her courage, her vulnerability, her willingness to rise above the storm and show the world that true power doesn't come from what we keep, it comes from what we dare to let go. Tracy Morgan. Tracy Morgan, the smile that once lit up every room, and the strength that refused to fade. Known for his infectious laughter and magnetic presence, he had it all. Fame, a booming career, a loving family, and the kind of charisma that drew people in. But everything changed in the early hours of June 7, 2014. Tracy and his friends were riding in a limousine when a Walmart truck crashed into them in a devastating collision. The impact claimed the life of one of his closest friends and left Tracy fighting for his own. His injuries were catastrophic: traumatic brain damage, broken ribs, shattered legs, and a face so badly crushed that doctors had to painstakingly rebuild it piece by piece. Months of surgeries, relentless pain, and grueling rehabilitation followed. Though he survived, the world could see he was forever changed. The twinkle in his eyes had dimmed, his radiant smile scarred by nerve damage, his face carrying the weight of tragedy. Yet behind those scars rose a different kind of power. Tracy Morgan emerged not only as a comedian, but as a survivor. What the crash stole, resilience replaced. His body may bear the marks of suffering, but his spirit tells another story, of endurance, of courage, and of a man who stood tall in the face of devastation. Tracy Morgan may never be the same, but in that transformation lies a strength even greater than the laughter he once gave the world. Lark Voorhees. Lark Voorhees, once the radiant beauty of the 90s and the unforgettable Lisa Turtle from Saved by the Bell, was the kind of star who lit up every room she walked into. With her glowing brown skin, dazzling smile, and effortless charm, she wasn't just a TV darling, she was an icon. But by the early 2010s, fans were stunned to see a woman who looked almost unrecognizable. The natural glow was gone, replaced with pale, tight skin that seemed frozen in place. Her vibrant sparkle had faded, leaving behind a haunting emptiness that broke the hearts of those who remembered her at her peak. The painful truth eventually surfaced. Lark was battling bipolar disorder, a fight that left deep scars not only on her mind but on her very identity. As the illness took hold, she turned to drastic cosmetic procedures, fillers and surgeries that stripped away the familiar contours of her once beloved face. What the world saw was a shocking transformation, but behind it was a woman enduring an invisible war. Her mother later spoke openly about the devastating toll of her daughter's condition, shining light on the private pain that had reshaped her life. The confident, radiant Lark Voorhees the world once adored had slipped into memory, replaced by someone still carrying the weight of her struggles. Her story became a sobering reminder of how profoundly mental health battles can alter not just the way we feel inside, but the very image we present to the world. Missy Elliott. Missy Elliott, the hip-hop visionary who reshaped music and culture with her fearless creativity, seemed unstoppable. In her prime, she radiated confidence, commanding every stage with hypnotic eyes, unmatched energy, and a style no one could copy. But in 2008, everything changed. Subtle tremors in her hands, sudden weight loss, and bulging eyes signaled that something was terribly wrong. Fans were shocked when, 3 years later, Missy revealed the cause: Graves' disease, a serious autoimmune disorder that shook the very foundation of her life. The woman once celebrated for her strength and boldness suddenly faced a painful transformation. Her once powerful image was replaced by hollow cheeks and a frail frame that broke hearts around the world. But Missy Elliott was never one to surrender. Instead of hiding, she reinvented herself. She embraced a new style, oversized clothes, signature hats, not as disguise, but as armor. She refused to let illness dictate her identity or silence her voice. Through resilience and raw determination, Missy proved that true power isn't measured by appearances. It's found in the spirit, in the will to keep going when life tries to break you. Against all odds, she stood tall, a warrior who reminded us all that legends aren't defined by struggle, they are defined by how they rise above it. Sammy Sosa. Sammy Sosa. Once a baseball legend, now almost unrecognizable. His name used to echo through stadiums with every towering home run, every electric swing of the bat. With his dark skin, radiant smile, and fearless swagger, he embodied power, pride, and charisma. Fans across the world saw him as larger than life. But after his retirement in 2009, a transformation began, one that left millions stunned. Slowly, his once deep complexion faded. The proud, dark-skinned icon of the diamond seemed to vanish before the world's eyes, replaced by a pale version of himself that many struggled to even recognize. The change was impossible to ignore, sparking whispers, controversy, and disbelief. What happened to Sammy Sosa? He admitted he was using skin lightening creams, brushing it off as nothing more than a personal beauty choice, not an attempt to change his race. But the striking contrast in his appearance told a different story, one that fans found hard to accept. And his transformation didn't end with skin tone. Gone was the ballplayer's rugged style. In came flamboyant suits, bold hairstyles, and an entirely new persona. Sammy Sosa, once the face of grit and greatness, now seemed like a stranger to those who had cheered his every swing. To this day, the truth behind his drastic transformation remains a mystery. But one thing is certain, the man we see now is a far cry from the baseball hero the world once knew. Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, the king of pop. A legend whose music electrified the world, and whose transformation left millions in shock. In his early years, Michael was celebrated for his radiant charm, rich dark skin, and magnetic stage presence. But by the late 1980s, everything began to change. It started with small white patches, signs of vitiligo, a rare disorder that robs the skin of its pigment. As the condition spread, so did Michael's emotional and physical struggles. Under the blinding glare of the spotlight, he turned to cosmetic procedures to manage his appearance. His nose narrowed, his cheekbones sharpened, and his jawline took on an almost artificial edge. Adding to his battle was lupus, an autoimmune disease that drained his strength and complicated his already fragile skin. By the 1990s, the transformation was undeniable. The vibrant young man the world once knew had become almost unrecognizable, his complexion pale, his features altered, his very identity reshaped before our eyes. Yet through it all, his genius never dimmed. His voice, his vision, and his artistry remained untouchable. But fans couldn't help mourning the Michael they remembered, the one who lit up the stage with fire and charisma. His transformation became more than physical. It was a haunting symbol of fame's darker side, and of the private battles he fought long after the curtain closed. Al Roker. Al Roker's transformation was nothing short of extraordinary. So dramatic, in fact, that it left millions struggling to recognize the man they had watched for decades. 4 years, Roker's larger-than-life presence and joyful energy made him one of the most beloved faces on television. His laughter, warmth, and undeniable charm lit up every screen he appeared on. But by 2002, reality came crashing down. Weighing over 330 pounds, 150 kilograms, doctors warned him that his health was in grave danger. His body was paying the price of years of neglect, his internal organs strained, his future uncertain. Faced with this life-or-death wake-up call, Roker made a bold and risky decision: gastric bypass surgery. What followed shocked everyone. In just months, he shed more than 150 pounds, 70 kilograms. The results were staggering, not only on the scale, but in his appearance. The once round, familiar face that audiences loved became suddenly gaunt. His skin sagged from the rapid weight loss, and the cheerful figure viewers thought they knew seemed almost like a stranger. And the change wasn't only physical. The transformation took a heavy toll on Roker's mental health and self-image. While the surgery gave him a renewed lease on life and undeniable health benefits, it also left fans reeling. For many, it was hard to reconcile this new, almost unrecognizable man with the warm, comforting figure who had once felt like family in their living rooms. Tyan Watkins. Tyan Watkins, better known to the world as T-Boz, the powerhouse voice of TLC, was once the very image of beauty, confidence, and strength. With her radiant smile and commanding presence, she lit up stages and captivated millions during the group's meteoric rise in the 1990s. But behind the glitter and applause, T-Boz was locked in a private, relentless battle with sickle cell anemia, a genetic disease that brought her unimaginable pain and devastating complications. The illness didn't just attack her health, it changed her appearance in ways fans could scarcely believe. Painful flare-ups left her face swollen, her skin pale, and dark circles hollowing her once bright eyes. Fatigue became a constant shadow, her body weakened, and her thick, vibrant hair began to fall out in clumps. Her lively gaze dulled, losing its familiar sparkle, and the endless cycle of hospital visits and medical treatments forced her to confront a reflection she barely recognized. For her fans, watching this transformation was heartbreaking. Yet through it all, T-Boz never surrendered. Even as her outward glow dimmed, her inner light only burned brighter. She faced her illness with grit, grace, and unshakable resilience, learning to embrace a version of herself she had never expected to meet. And though there were moments when the mirror seemed cruel, she refused to let it break her spirit. Instead, she proved that true beauty and strength come not from the stage lights, but from the courage to keep shining even in the darkest battles. Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor, the comedy legend whose laughter was silenced by illness. For years, Pryor was the pulse of Hollywood comedy, a force of nature, sharp, fearless, and wickedly funny. He lit up stages and screens, making the world laugh in ways no one else could. But behind the roar of applause was a man slowly being robbed of his spark. In 1986, Pryor was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, a brutal disease that began chipping away at his body and spirit. What started as fatigue and difficulty walking soon spiraled into something devastating. By the early 90s, the man who once bounded across stages with electric energy could barely move. Each step became a battle. His once expressive face, which had delivered 1,000 punchlines, grew stiff. Even his iconic smile, once a universal symbol of joy, faded into a rigid mask. Fans were heartbroken to watch the vibrant star who gave them endless laughter become trapped in a body that betrayed him. Yet even in his darkest hours, Richard Pryor's fire never fully went out. Behind the silence was still a fighter. In the face of relentless pain, he showed the world that true strength isn't measured only in punchlines, but in perseverance. Michelle Ndigiocello. In the 1990s, Michelle Ndigiocello rose as a striking symbol of raw beauty and unapologetic individuality. With her short, spirited hair and magnetic presence, she didn't just turn heads, she captured hearts. But then came a deeply personal, unexpected challenge that could have broken her. Her once thick, radiant hair began falling out in painful patches, threatening a part of her very identity. Instead of retreating, Michelle chose to confront it head-on. In an act of fearless self-acceptance, she shaved her head completely, a move that stunned her fans and shook the music world. What some might have seen as a loss, she transformed into a bold declaration of strength and authenticity. Gone was the carefree hair that had become part of her image, replaced by a striking baldness that revealed something even greater, her resilience. That transformation turned her into more than just an artist. It made her an icon. Her shaved head became a statement, a turning point, a testament to her courage both as a woman and a musician. It was a chapter that redefined her legacy and left an unforgettable mark, not just on music, but on the culture at large. 50 Cent. 50 Cent, from heartthrob to hero. In the early 2000s, he exploded onto the hip-hop scene with swagger, charisma, and hooks that refused to leave your head. Get Rich or Die Tryin' didn't just top the charts, it redefined them. Almost overnight, 50 became rap's golden boy, a heartthrob, a rising icon, the face of a new era. But destiny had other plans. On May 24, 2000, outside his grandmother's house in Queens, 50 Cent was ambushed and shot 9 times. The bullets didn't just tear into his body, they rewrote his story. His once flawless face now carried the marks of survival, a crooked cheekbone, fuller lips, and eyes hardened by trauma. His voice, once crisp and commanding, dropped deeper, carrying a subtle slur that echoed pain and perseverance. Most men would have faded into silence. 50 did the opposite. He embraced the scars, wore them like armor, and turned tragedy into testimony. His survival wasn't a footnote, It became the very heartbeat of his legend. What could have been the end was only the beginning. Against all odds, 50 Cent rose higher, stronger, and tougher than ever. No longer just a hip-hop heartthrob, he became something greater, a living symbol of resilience, grit, and triumph when the world counted him out. Randy Jackson. Randy Jackson's journey is nothing short of extraordinary, a powerful story of transformation, survival, and second chances. Once the lovable judge on American Idol, Randy was known for his big personality, round frame, and signature smile. But in 2003, his world turned upside down when doctors diagnosed him with type 2 diabetes. It was the wake-up call he couldn't ignore. As his weight soared and his health spiraled, Randy knew he was racing against time. Determined to reclaim his life, he made a life-altering decision: gastric bypass surgery in 2004. The results were shocking. In a matter of months, he shed more than 100 pounds, over 50 kilograms. Fans who once recognized his familiar figure were stunned to see a thinner, almost hollow version of Randy, with looser skin and sharper features. Some were unsettled by the drastic change, but for Randy, it marked a turning point. This wasn't about vanity, it was about survival. Every wrinkle, every pound lost was proof of a battle hard fought. And through it all, Randy emerged not just lighter, but stronger, healthier, and ready to embrace a brand new life. Gabourey Sidibe. Gabourey Sidibe's transformation is nothing short of breathtaking. The beloved plus-size actress who first stole the spotlight with her raw, unforgettable performance in Precious back in 2009 was once hailed as a bold symbol of confidence and beauty at any size. But in 2016, her life took an unexpected turn when she was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Faced with a choice, Gabby made a life-changing decision. She underwent bariatric surgery to reclaim control over her health and her future. What followed stunned the world. She shed dozens of pounds, and the fuller figure that had once defined her image faded into memory. Her face grew leaner, her cheekbones sharper, her jawline strikingly sculpted. Fans could hardly recognize her when she appeared at public events. This was not just a change in appearance, but a rebirth. Beyond the physical, Gabourey redefined herself, proving that transformation is as much about inner strength as it is about outer change. In doing so, she became more than an actress. She became an inspiration, showing millions that it's never too late to take back your power and rewrite your own story. LaToya Jackson. LaToya Jackson's story is one of Hollywood's most haunting transformations. Once celebrated for her radiant smile, glowing brown skin, and naturally full features, she stood as a true beauty icon, the kind of effortless grace that turned heads without trying. But by the late 1980s, LaToya began following the same path her brother Michael had taken, stepping into the risky world of plastic surgery. By the early 1990s, the change was undeniable. A series of procedures, chin reduction, multiple nose surgeries, and skin lightening treatments reshaped her face into something almost unrecognizable. The sun-kissed warmth of her complexion faded into a pale porcelain tone. Her once soft, expressive features grew sharp, stiff, and statue-like. What had once been the face of natural charm and authenticity became a mask of artifice. Today, many look back on LaToya's striking transformation with a sense of sadness, remembering the genuine beauty she once radiated, a beauty that needed no alteration. Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams, the undisputed queen of talk shows, once ruled daytime television with a fearless energy that felt unstoppable. Her sharp wit, bold opinions, and unmistakable flair made her a household name. But behind the glittering set and larger-than-life personality, a silent battle was unfolding. In the late 1990s, Wendy began noticing strange changes in her body. At first, they were subtle, easy to dismiss. Then they grew impossible to ignore. Doctors eventually diagnosed her with Graves' disease, a relentless autoimmune disorder that would change her life forever. By the 2010s, the transformation was heartbreaking to watch. Her weight swung wildly, at times dropping dramatically, then surging back again. The face fans once knew became puffy and uneven, the result of fluid retention. But the most shocking change of all was in her eyes, wide, bulging, and almost unrecognizable. The confident, commanding woman who had once dominated the airwaves now faced the world through the cruel lens of illness. For many fans, seeing her wasn't just surprising, it was devastating. A painful reminder that even the strongest, the boldest, and the most untouchable can be brought to their knees by forces far beyond their control. Kanye West. Kanye West. October 2002. A moment that nearly ended it all before his legend even began. At the time, Kanye was already climbing fast, a producer on the verge of stepping into the spotlight as a rapper destined to change music forever. But one late night behind the wheel, everything shifted. He fell asleep while driving and was thrown into a violent car crash that almost cost him his life. The impact shattered his jaw, leaving him broken and unrecognizable. Surgeons wired his mouth shut, rebuilt his face with metal plates and bone grafts, and left him forever changed. His smile slightly altered, his voice permanently reshaped. Yet that night didn't just leave scars on his body. It carved a new path for his soul and his art. Out of that wreckage came not only survival, but reinvention. It was the turning point that fueled his hunger, his audacity, his relentless need to prove himself. The accident didn't stop Kanye West. It forged the man and the icon the world would come to know. Anthony Anderson. Anthony Anderson's story is nothing short of jaw-dropping. Once known for his larger frame and very public battle with type 2 diabetes, Anderson was celebrated on screen but quietly fighting behind the scenes. The struggle wasn't only physical. It ate away at his confidence and self-image. But in the mid-2000s, everything shifted. Refusing to let his health define him, Anderson launched into a grueling, transformative weight loss journey. With discipline, grit, and relentless dedication, he shed the pounds and unveiled a brand new man. His once round face sharpened into defined features, his energy returned, and his entire presence changed so dramatically that many fans could hardly recognize him. Yes, the rapid weight loss left behind loose skin, but it also revealed something far greater: resilience. Anderson's incredible transformation didn't just inspire, it proved the power of determination, self-belief, and the will to reclaim your life. Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj. From fearless rapper to a living plastic doll. She didn't just step into the music scene, she stormed it, kicking down the doors with razor-sharp rhymes and an unapologetic persona. Almost overnight, she climbed to the top of the charts and cemented herself as one of rap's most electrifying icons. But as her fame skyrocketed in the 2010s, so did a transformation no one could ignore. What began as a bold, unique look soon evolved into something far more extreme. Her famously curvy figure became larger than life, her hips and chest exaggerated beyond belief, her nose slimmer, her lips plumper. Nicki seemed to morph from a striking natural beauty into what many called a flawless, living doll. The change ignited fierce debate. Was it necessary? Had she gone too far? But for Nicki, this wasn't simply about beauty, it was about dominance. In an industry as cutthroat as rap, where image can be just as powerful as lyrics, she turned transformation into a weapon. She wasn't just trying to survive. She wasn't just trying to compete. Nicki Minaj wanted to rule, and she made sure the world knew it. Nene Leakes. Nene Leakes, the undisputed queen of reality TV, didn't just join the spotlight, she owned it. As the fiery centerpiece of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, she stormed the entertainment world with her bold attitude, sharp wit, and undeniable star power. But while her rise to fame was meteoric, what left fans talking just as much was her dramatic physical transformation. Once admired for her natural beauty and commanding presence, Nene gradually reshaped herself into an almost unrecognizable version through a string of high-profile plastic surgeries in the 2000s and 2010s. From facelifts and rhinoplasties to breast enhancements and jawline sculpting, her look became sleeker, tighter, and strikingly youthful, but at a cost. Her slimmer face, refined nose, and porcelain-smooth skin contrasted sharply against her curvy frame, sparking endless debate and criticism. Yet, true to form, Nene never flinched. She leaned into her reinvention with fierce confidence, unapologetically embracing her evolution and proving she could not only survive the scrutiny but thrive in it. Love her or not, she cemented her legacy as one of reality TV's boldest, most fearless icons. Vybz Kartel. Vybz Kartel's journey is one of the most shocking transformations in dancehall history. Once hailed as the dark-skinned king of Jamaica's reggae scene, his rich complexion was part of his powerful image. But around 2010, fans began to notice something strange. His skin was growing lighter, almost ghostly pale, until he was nearly unrecognizable. The transformation sparked outrage, curiosity, and endless debate. Kartel eventually admitted to using bleaching creams but firmly denied any plastic surgery. Along with his lighter skin came a bold reinvention, eccentric hairstyles, flashy fashion choices, and a persona that felt worlds away from the natural charisma fans had once admired. For some, he was still the lyrical genius who defined a generation. For others, his drastic reinvention raised an uncomfortable question. Why change so much, and at what cost? Cardi B. Cardi B, from girl next door to unstoppable sex symbol. Her transformation is nothing short of jaw-dropping. Before the fame, she was just a natural, unassuming girl with a simple, everyday look. But everything began to shift in 2014. Still working as an exotic dancer at the time, she made a life-changing decision: breast implants. That one choice sparked a chain reaction that would completely redefine her image and set the stage for a dramatic reinvention. As her career skyrocketed, so did her cosmetic enhancements. From breast augmentation to butt implants and liposuction, Cardi sculpted her body into that signature hourglass figure that turns heads wherever she goes. Her face evolved too: sharper features, fuller lips, and daring makeup that transformed her into a force of beauty and confidence impossible to ignore. But Cardi B isn't just about looks. She's a symbol of unapologetic sex appeal, raw power, and self-made success. Bold, fearless, and always in control, she owns every inch of her reinvention. Fans and critics alike are left stunned, barely recognizing the woman she used to be. Cardi B didn't just transform her body, she transformed the entire definition of what it means to dominate the spotlight. Teddy Pendergrass. Teddy Pendergrass, the legendary voice of R&B, once commanded the stage with a towering presence, a voice that could shake the heavens, and a charm that left millions spellbound. But on the night of March 18, 1982, everything changed in a heartbeat. A devastating car crash left him paralyzed from the neck down, confined to a wheelchair for the rest of his days. The strong, magnetic figure the world had admired was now physically fragile, his once mighty body silenced. Yet Teddy's spirit never broke. With resilience, grace, and an unshakable dignity, he continued to inspire all who crossed his path. Though tragedy had taken his body, it could never touch his soul. His story remains a testament to unbreakable will, and to a legacy that still echoes through the world of music. Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman, from superhero to silent suffering, his journey was nothing short of heartbreaking. To the world, he was the fearless Black Panther, a symbol of strength, masculinity, and unshakable pride. But behind the mask, beginning in 2016, Boseman was locked in a private and devastating battle with colon cancer. While audiences saw a man who embodied power and resilience, he was quietly enduring excruciating pain, choosing to keep his diagnosis hidden from the public. Even as his body weakened, he refused to step away from the spotlight. He delivered unforgettable performances, carrying the weight of a secret that few could imagine. Over time, however, the toll of his illness became visible. The once ripped hero grew frail, his face hollow, his eyes heavy with exhaustion. Fans around the world were left stunned, watching their on-screen warrior transform before their very eyes. But Chadwick's greatest strength wasn't in his muscles or his physique. It was in his willpower, his spirit, and the quiet courage he carried until his final day. Were you shocked by his transformation? Sometimes, behind the most dramatic changes lie hidden stories of resilience, suffering, and secrets the world never knew. Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. There's so much more to uncover about the unseen struggles of Hollywood's brightest stars.